Hi, I'm Arie Hoffman with Akasha Counseling, and welcome to the Counselor Chronicles. This week we're here to answer a question that was submitted through my website. The question was, how can I tell if therapy is working, and how will I know if I need to work with someone else? That is a great question. So I reached out to some of my therapist colleagues to get a variety of feedback. Krista K. Clarke of CK Counseling in Greenwood Village says that you know therapy is working when you notice you're achieving the goals that you set at the beginning of counseling. So you should also be able to use the various tools and coping skills or changes in thoughts on a consistent basis without needing to check in with your counselor. So if this is not happening in a reasonable amount of time, whatever that means for you, or you don't feel heard, or if you don't trust your counselor, then it's time to move on and to find someone else. So all great advice. The next submission was from Arie Hoffman, who is the owner of Arie Hoffman Psychotherapy, LLC in Denver. And he says, there's a deep idea that I've heard that I know my mentor when I can hear her voice in my head. I can often hear my therapist's voice in my head, he says, when he's doing therapy, and he enjoys that. He says, I know that it's because I connect with him, not just on a head level, but also on a heart level. I have the same phenomenon with other people who I look up to. I think that's some really great advice on when to know therapy is effective and when it's time maybe for you to wrap up. Jeremy David Savage of Denver says that many times people actually end up working on things that are completely different than what brought them in. So in short, you're done when you say that you're done. And therapists that can inquire and ask, how are we doing here? And checking in every now and then can be a good thing. Sometimes as therapists, we may not know the extent of progress that's being made, but your experience as the client can feel differently. So as a therapist, it's our job to check in, and that can really show that we care and that we're doing our due diligence and making sure that we're being effective in helping you. Kathryn Railly of Lafayette, Colorado says that when you're experiencing and reporting positive changes in yourself, that might be a sign that it's time to wrap up. So she encourages her clients to think of her as a resource for when things come up later. Maybe you need to come back to therapy. Maybe you're thinking about taking a break. Therapy is really an ongoing process, and oftentimes you're going to know when you're done. You might, check in with your therapist. You might send them an email or reach out and say, hey, I'm ready to take a break. But the therapist should also be checking in with you too. So that's a really common theme here with a lot of therapists, that we should be checking in. Now, how would I answer this question? I think the only thing that I would add is that, again, how can I tell if therapy is working, and how will I know if I need to work with someone else? When your life is feeling a bit put back together. So you might have a clear path or direction you're heading. Maybe you have a plan or just a sense that you're going to get there and that you'll be okay. If you're thinking of working with someone else, you could actually have a conversation about this with your therapist, which I know might seem frightening. But we're here to have authentic and vulnerable conversations with our clients. So if something isn't working or doesn't feel right, we actually want to talk about that. And I know that's a little unusual for our everyday lives or what we might typically do, but the therapeutic relationship is very different. So if in the end you decide it's not working for you to the point that you like to try to work with someone else, our goal is always to help you live true to you and to accomplish your goals. So if you don't feel comfortable bringing this up with your therapist, but you get the sense that you don't connect with your therapist, then listen to your gut. And I think that's really important in making that difficult decision to try someone new. But don't give up. You'll connect with someone. And it may take a therapist or two to find the right one, but that's a process as well. So hopefully this was helpful, and if you're interested in hearing responses on a certain topic, whether it's related to therapy or managing stress or navigating relationships, whatever the topic, visit my website, click on Counselor Chronicles, and you can submit your question and we will answer them. So thanks for tuning in.